Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in the Bay Area, it's time for Bay Area Business Radio. Now, here's your host.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Bay Area Business Radio, and this is going to be a good one. Today we have with us Delane Sims with Delane's Natural Nail Care. But before we get started, it's important to recognize our sponsor, Leah Davis Coaching, inspiring women of color to claim their wealth legacy. Welcome, Delane.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me, Lee.
Well, before we get too far into things, tell us a little bit about Delane's Natural Nail Care. How are you serving folks?
I am serving folks both who come to our salon for nail care and also serving my community, which I think is right neck and neck with what I love doing. Both serving, again, my clients who actually are part of this sort of Delane's Natural Nail Care ecosystem that allows us to really go a lot further in helping support my community than most nail salons. But as far as sort of my journey towards beginning my business, I started my business sort of as a means to an end on a couple of fronts. And one was, as a single mom at the time, I wanted to create a business that would allow me to work my schedule around my family. And at the same time, I wanted to provide a service in my community that I heard the cries and that there was a need for not just a regular nail salon, but one that would be able to take proper care, more from a medical perspective of the nails. And so I jumped right in, and I've been loving it for the last 22 years.
So now, when you say medical standpoint, can you explain what that is? Yes.
Thank you for asking, because medical manicures is a little bit of a unicorn in the field, in the nail care field. Before I even received my license, while I was in manicure school, I consulted with doctors, primarily podiatrists, because I wanted to know more about the health of the hands and especially the feet. These doctors that I interned with and I consulted with gave me a wealth of knowledge and information that I was able to immediately incorporate into my business from the moment I received my license. So from before I started my business to now, I directly work with and consult with podiatrists as well as other doctors. Even chiropractors, because working with a variety of doctors, it helps me to have a greater insight into foot care. So what that means essentially is that there are people who have, for example, diabetes, and which is prominent in my community. And when the doctor says, take care of your feet, they think it means to just go to a nail salon. And really, that's probably the last place that a person wants to go, is to a nail salon, because if that person is poked, especially with a tool that is not clean, they will then, they can get an infection. And that infection can lead to an open wound not healing. It can lead to amputation of the toes or the foot or even the leg, and it can even be worse than that. And again, this is sort of the cry that I heard from my community, that there were people who needed specialized care, but there weren't places where they could get that specialized care, because either you think you should go to a manicurist, who is not qualified, if they're not under a doctor's direction, to provide the level of care that a diabetic needs, or they're at a place where, and let me just back up and say we're sort of in that middle ground where we're not podiatrists, we're not medical professionals, but we work under a podiatrist direction. And again, that person who wants to take care of their feet properly, they may do something inadvertently that makes their situation worse. And then with a podiatrist is really more of a surgeon. They don't do quite the hand holding that a medical manicurist would do. We would see that person more often. We'd soak their feet. We'd massage their feet. We'd take care of the dead skin that's on their feet. Things like that are very important, because if dead skin builds up on a person, on a diabetic's feet, it's not just dead skin. Underneath that dead skin, sores can develop if that skin is not removed properly and maintained. So a medical manicurist would help with not just diabetics, but also those who have thick toenails, fungus, who have very thick callus. And there are some people who have had injury to their toes, and we can also help cosmetically with their toenails looking more quote unquote normal. So there's a lot that a medical manicurist does to make our clients' feet healthy and even look pretty at the same time.
So now, was there something that drew you to kind of elevate the practice that you're in to this level? What you mentioned, it is a unicorn. This isn't like a typical nail salon experience. It sounds like it's very, it's more intimate. It requires a higher level of professionalism. It requires working with, medical practitioners. There's a whole next level element to your practice. Did something happen that drew you to that side of the business rather than a more typical nail salon?
Yeah, something did. It was the first day that I opened my textbook up and during manicure class. And when I opened the book, there was this, this stop sign, and there was a notice saying, essentially the reason you're in this class and you're on this journey to get your manicure license is because people's health is at stake. The state governs us and guides us because if we're not doing the right thing, a person can transmit hepatitis in a nail salon. They can injure someone. And I thought, wait a minute. I thought, going to get your nails done was just a beautification process. Oh, my nails, I want them to be pretty. But when I opened that book and I read that information, I thought, wait a minute, this is true. We are regulated for a reason. And it is about the safety of those we serve. So I delved deeper into, what are the other safety or health issues out there? And my research yield that African Americans, which I'm African American and I'm serving my community, largely are those who have diabetes and are more susceptible to having problems if they go to nail salons. I learned that there are people who have actually been hospitalized because they went to a nail salon that wasn't clean. There are people who have been scarred for life because of receiving a pedicure that resulted in them having sores on their legs that were just so deep that there was no real recovery completely from those experiences. So the deeper my research went, it took me to these places where I just felt that I had to stand up in my community as well as just as a nail salon that would promote a healthy environment, and not just for the feet, not just for in a physical way, but also mentally. I mean, a lot of the women that I see, they are really burning the candles at both ends. I see CEOs who are also moms and who are taking care of their elderly parents. I see women who are just really spent. And when they come in, I wanted them to come into a space where they could actually really exhale. So for that reason, I started my salon by having private space, private rooms where no one was ever kind of sort of pushed into a congregation of folks or put on display in a picture window. But they would actually be able to have a tranquil space to just stop and really enjoy their service. So I place a lot of emphasis on the massage portion of the service. I do light reflexology with every service where I can. And I really appreciate how over the years I have clients who've been with me throughout the entire journey of my being in business. And they have expressed to me over and over how the service has not just elevated them in terms of their foot care, but it has helped them to be more centered and grounded in life. And so that has just been another byproduct of the work that I do and just what it has meant to others. I totally love making a difference, not just transforming feet, but helping to shift and transform lives. And whether it's my clients or the organizations that I've created, the nonprofits I've created, I've just enjoyed this journey immensely.
And I think that's great advice for the emerging entrepreneur that's out there, that to really differentiate yourself, a way to do it is what you're doing is to really immerse yourself into the community and become this kind of socially responsible company and elevate the services by kind of digging deeper into the community and finding creative ways to serve them in ways that maybe they didn't anticipate from a service.
Yeah. And I think, Lee, that it should be organic. I don't think that a business should approach supporting the community from a tactical perspective. Like, oh, well, this is what's going to make my business, grow or be popular. Because I think you should just think about what you care about. What is it that you want to do to make a difference? Period. And then I think when you approach your business from that perspective, that everything, sort of will come together. And for me, I shared that I started my business because I was a single mom, but I also had been a teen mom. And I was thrust into a situation where my first husband left me with 4 children, unfortunately was a victim of the crack cocaine epidemic. And I was, thrust into poverty, and it was really daunting, very difficult time in my life. And I wanted to make sure that when I got to a place in my life where I was able to give back, I wanted to make sure that the next woman who was a single mom or teen mom would have support in a way that I didn't. And to have community support, to have people who know the road traveled, to give back, to reach back and to try to pull someone else along, that has always been a desire of my heart. So I started a nonprofit right within my sort of the nucleus of my business, where I reached out primarily to African-American single mothers, although we help every mother and those who are not yet mothers, but specifically African-American women. We focused on them because of the disparities across the board, whether it's health, financial, just the disparities are just so great. And I wanted to just create this nonprofit to give single mothers this opportunity to not just, have baseline support, to know where to go to get food and clothing and that kind of thing, but to sort of be able to look in the mirror and determine who are you and who do you want to be as a parent. And then to provide women with resources, hands-on resources, workshops in every area that we could, such as financial literacy, parenting classes, etiquette classes, whatever it took to make sure that these women were the best moms they could be, and to just really break generational cycles and start their children on a path that will help them to grow and to thrive, and that really answers a lot of the challenges we have in our society. If we can, start at the beginning of issues rather than at the end. So that was just a passion. That was just something I've always wanted to do. And then I care so much about the elderly. And that's primarily because I was born to a father who was elderly. He was pretty far up in age. And as a matter of fact, my father, Andrew Frank Hatch, he passed, when he passed in 2016, he was the oldest man in the world at 117 years old.
Wow.
And he lived on his own until he was 115 years old. And when I say live on his own, I mean in his own apartment and making up his bed and doing his laundry and jumping on a scooter and going downtown to what they call meddle with people. But I've always cared for elders. And so with my business, I was able to volunteer my services, to go to senior centers, provide foot care for seniors. Without proper foot care, a lot of seniors are more susceptible to falls. Oftentimes, seniors are battling with so many health issues and so many different things that the feet tend to be the last thing that people pay attention to. And oftentimes, the feet are a window into the health conditions of a senior. We can look at the feet and see if there's neuropathy there, if there's discoloration, if there's sores, if there's the feet can really tell us a lot about the health of a person. And if we take better care of our elders' feet, it can actually mean better overall health for our seniors. So again, I sort of just took what was innate, what were those things that I was passionate about, that I cared about, and they all folded in to my business because they are an extension of who I am. So again, I just think that, not, approaching one's business in a contrived way that, oh yeah, I'm going to, create a community niche, but to just show up as, authentically who you are and what you care about. And you'll find a path from your business model to the things that you care about that can impact your community.
Well, congratulations on all the success and the impact you're making in your community. What do you need more of? How can we help you?
Well, I have to say that during the pandemic, we all, of course, around the world, experienced so many different things. And one of the things that became, very clear is that, my nonprofits, definitely took a blow. And those, nonprofits that I have, one to support women and one and their families, and one to support elders who are primarily home alone, sort of marooned away in their homes. We really were underwater with trying to get the proper support to everyone. And it, tragedy kind of shows up cracks, and it also shows up good things. So there were some good things that were revealed, for sure, during the pandemic, but there was definitely some things that came to the fore that said, I definitely need more support in our organization. So we definitely can use more donations, financial donations, volunteers for our nonprofits, so that we can continue to do this work based on the enormous need that's there.
Well, your story is amazing, and it is just a gift you're giving your community. I hope they appreciate you as much as we do and thank you for sharing your story. It's tremendous achievement. You should be so proud. Your father, I'm sure, was so proud. And it's a gift you are giving your community. So I just want to say that we appreciate the work that you're doing, and we're proud to share your story today.
Well, thank you so much, Lee. I really thank you for allowing me to share what I do and what I love.
And then is there a way, if people want to learn more about what you got going on, is there a website?
Yes, we have a website, DNNC Steps to Success, and that's DNNCSTEPS, and that's TO to success.com. And at that website, you can definitely learn more about the work we're doing in the community.
And then is there a website for the salon?
Yes, there is. It's delanesnails.com, and that's DELANESNAILS.com. DelaneSnails.com.
All right. Well, thank you again for sharing your story today. And again, you're doing important work, and we appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Lee. And have a wonderful and blessed day.
All right. This is Lee Cantor. We'll see you all next time on Bay Area Business Radio.